Hi, I'm Larry
And I'm Heather.
from Exvoto, and you're watching The Rooster Show.
Thank you for choosing the Rooster Show. This is Rooster Jones. I'm going to be here with Rio of 1919, old school band. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, good. Cheers. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you brilliantly. Welcome,
Cool.
man. I was hoping that I was taking faith that you were going to be there, waiting in a waiting room. So I tried calling. Sorry, man. Sorry about the text bombing and stuff.
No, don't
Anyways.
worry.
Anyways, welcome again to the Rooster Show. You guys are legends, man. 1919 is been around since the early 80s. Love what you
Yeah.
do. And I would love to hear your story. Actually, we would all love to hear your story. We're not live, but you know what I mean. So if you don't mind, go ahead and tell us how 1919 started and how you got involved with them and all that. You hit the floor, bud.
Sure. So I mean, obviously, I'm not one of the founders, right? There's only Mick left alive that was. But yeah, it's only me today, I'm afraid.
No,
I
that's all
think,
right.
but
You're
you know
important.
what? Like he's a living legend, and he still drums like he's 20 years old. Um, he can't quite use a computer like he's 20, so that's why we're not all joining today.
Beating rocks together, huh? Beating
Yeah,
rocks to
just
try to get some. How does this work?
oh no,
Anyways, I got
he
you.
has turned up at my door being like, fix this. So but no,
That's
like
all right.
he's we're like a family really, and he's definitely like a kind of music dad, and Mark was too. So it was I'll kind of recite the story as I know it. And about 1979, Mick was in a band called Psychic Vaults, and they had a little like they were very kind of around very briefly, but they had some real success. It was they were played on John Peel. I think that's where he did his first ever gig, and his first ever show was supporting Adam and the Ants, right at
Oh
the age of
wow,
18.
that's awesome.
So Yeah, so like that's the kind of level and the kind of era we're talking about where that's going to be your first. Oh yeah, you can play with this band at Leeds University, and that's who it is. So he did that, and then all the while there was a band forming in Bradford, and they were originally called Heaven 17, right? So
Oh,
that
okay.
was
Yeah.
and they had kind of one demo that was released, and it was released as part of this. So actually, in like a magazine, there was like a fanzine, and it was called "The Old Woolen." I've got a copy of it in here somewhere.
Cool.
And yeah, they put out this 717 flexi disc, right? So that was kind of Mark, Nick, and Ian, the kind of original, kind of bass guitar and vocalist for 1919, or what became 1919. And they had someone else on drums. I can't quite remember who. I'm sorry about that.
Oh my
But
gosh, we're stopping this interview. That's it.
yeah. But
I'm
no,
just
it's
joking.
written down. It's written down in the. I think it's all on Discogs, right? You should be able to find it in
Yeah.
there.
Oh
But anyway,
yeah.
they had to change their name. So obviously the Human League had kind of splintered, and then there was the Heaven 17 that most people are familiar with. That were quite a popular
Yeah.
kind of like electro kind of tinged industrial sort of goth group that came from that sort of time from Sheffield.
Yeah.
Had much more of an infrastructure behind him. So there was a kind of notice published in one of the magazines from the time that said, the Heaven 17 has now changed its name to 1919, and they were seen as kind of. I think they came out about the same time. So it was
What's the name 1919 real quick before we go any
so
farther?
that's So yeah, so then they were like, okay, we're gonna have to change the name because there's this other band that's using this name, and they've got like record companies behind them and stuff. So they started trying to think of another name, and Mark, the guitar player, had this old kind of book. There was just like a history book. It was loads of stuff that
Yeah.
happened in 1919, of which there are loads and loads of things. But on the cover, there was this kind of man with hammer, it was called, and it was from like a May Day 1919 poster from Hungary. And he just thought it looked kind of amazing, so they all kind of agreed that would be the name. And by that point, they'd kind of changed the lineup up a bit, and Mick had answered an ad, and he'd come in, and so that was kind of the lineup that then became 1919. So
Cool.
I think he came in before they changed the name, so I think he was part of that discussion, because this logo that you've got behind you now, this amazing like iconic logo, which I was so insistent that they keep, when I kind of came
Yeah.
along. It was done by, he sort of took two dinner plates, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Two dinner plates, and sort of drew around them, and then kind of that's where the O's came from. It was just drawing around
Oh,
plates
how
on a piece of
funny.
cardboard, and then just like there you go, this is what it'll look like. So um
Sick. I love it. I do. I do.
yeah,
Really, yeah.
exactly.
It's badass. Anyways, I love the history. How did you get a part of them in 1919?
Yeah, so it was one of those bands that I'd not heard of them. They never had any reissues particularly, and by 1984 they'd kind of disbanded. And then years and years later, Cherry Red in about 2001 put out a CD compilation of all the records they've released. So that was the Machine LP, the two 7 inches like Tear Down His Walls and Repulsion, and then Occasion After the Fall, and the 1990 the sort of Dream and Cry Wolf 12 inch as well, and then the Earth Song EP that was kind of like a very late kind of collection of demos, just to pay the record company back a bit. But they stuck out this CD compilation, and it did quite well. A couple of years after that, YouTube emerges, and people start uploading their old records and CDs and like tracks from bands they like and stuff, and a lot of people from around the world start to kind of pick up on 1919, so there becomes this kind of renewed interest. Mark at some time around then tried to get the band back together. So this is about 2005. It didn't quite work out. And I mean, at that point, Mick was still, touring full time as, session drumming and teching and stuff like that. He was out on tour with Anathema and Cradle of Filth and all them. So that was kind of his job. But that just kind of wound down around the time Mark started looking to get things back together again. And at that point, it was 2014, and I saw an advert, and I just answered it and turned up, and that was that. And it's been 10 years now.
That's awesome. Okay, I got a request. There's a band, I don't know if you ever heard of them, called Guillotine Dream, that's out there is in England, but the drummer, his name is Mark Henry, and he's a good friend of mine. So if you can you say hi to Mark Henry for me?
Sure. I'm a big wrestling fan.
He's a biggest fan of 1919. So
really, that's amazing. Well, so I'm a big wrestling fan. So just the name Mark Henry, I'm like, yeah, that's a cool name. So yeah, of course, let's give a shout out to Mark Henry. Hopefully, I'll get to meet you soon.
Oh, that's right. Hell yeah. Okay. Anyway, so what's your actual position in the band?
I sing.
You sing? Oh, you're the main voice. Wow.
You didn't look me up before this.
I tried.
So
you know what? Honestly, I know I have 3 bands today. It's like I'm kind of slacking on my homework, but I had to go for a long walk in order to get to here, man, because my Wi-Fi is being worked on at home, and but they're like 3 hours away working at another place, so I gotta wait for them to get over here to do my Wi-Fi. It's like horrible. I can't even connect to the internet on my computer at all. Shit, and it's like, okay. Yeah, it's just bull crap, man. So I had to walk like 5 miles to get here. Whew.
Whereabouts are you based then? Which state?
I'm in Idaho, USA. Yep, Idaho. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a cute little town, but it's it has some good stores and stuff, but it's there's no one quite that likes what I like here. I'm pretty much a loner.
Yeah, it's harder, when you're outside of major cities, yeah, exactly. But sometimes when things do happen, everyone turns up, which is always nice.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours away from Boise, okay. Idaho. So awesome, man. So vocals, man. What got you into doing vocals? Are you just a vocalist? Oh, I mean, not saying that's a horrible thing. Or do you play? I noticed you have a guitar back there and all that. Do you play other instruments?
Do you know what? That particular one behind us was my first ever bass that I got when I was 15. So that was what I was doing. I was in a band before I could play, but I had some friends that had a band, and they were like, you should come and play bass. They liked my haircut. I just had loads of hair. So obviously I've had to over time trying to clip that with ability. So yeah, for a long time I started out just playing bass, with the one finger, one note, kind of do, and then over time became bass and vocals, and then kind of I was still doing bass and vocals all the way until I answered that ad, but just kind of singing was always something I wanted to do. And before there was a first couple of kind of 1919-ish performances that I did while I was playing bass as well, and that's because the ad had originally answered. It was Mark. And they were still looking for a bass player because Steve Madden, who had been the last bass player in the 80s on Cry Wolf, they were still neighbors, right? They lived like across the road from each other for 40 years. That's cool. A lovely guy. But he had a lot of health problems as well. I ended up meeting him at Mark's funeral, and that's why we kind of got him. We were determined to get him on a record, so that's why he's on Future Side. So the cool thing about Future Side is he actually does have the whole of the Cry Wolf lineup on that record. just two of them. It was their last kind of performance, right?
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, bass is actually I like bass. That was actually my first instrument, and then I turned into more rhythm guitar. But I still have a bass. I have an Ibanez. I love it, and I have
Yeah,
a
no,
little equalizer I put to it and all that. Bass equalizer makes it all nice and deep. Oh, I love it.
yeah, no, I love bass. I was only ever a very kind of simple player, right? Because I was always just
Oh,
about kind of posing and just muting the strings and hammering it and just kind of, you know,
yeah. You know
like
what I always
having it sound
say?
pretty.
I always say bass is basic, because in my head it
Well,
was always really simple in my head because I'm not anything freaking really good, I'm really basic with it. I'm I'm not even a great guitarist, or anything. I just love music. I just have a
yeah.
passion for writing music, and you know what? I look like Mickey Mouse right now with the two circles.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I like it. um, no, so I can kind of play enough to basically write on. So I do
Yeah,
demos and stuff like that. But
very
I think
good.
having
Very good.
having been in bands, over the last 10 years with Cal first of all, and then Ding, and even when we actually played in New York last year, um, we had a guy stand in from a band called Black Rose Burning, and his name is George Grant, and he was so good. So yeah, I've been playing for the last 10 years with really, really serious bass players who are just otherworldly levels of kind of talented. So I think it's
Damn.
it's a very different level to what I was ever at. But then I was always just
But
a performer, and a lyricist.
yeah, good for
Like
you. Yeah, good
yeah.
for you. So what other bands were you a part of any other genre besides goth rock?
Yeah, I mean, originally, like when I was younger, I was more into kind of. I suppose we were playing stuff that sounded like Hanoi Rocks or New York Dolls, and it was that kind of
Ah,
glammy kind
yeah.
of like punk stuff. And then later, kind of like grunge. I was in a couple of I was in like a metal band. Um, um, so yeah, like quite a lot really. And I like to kind of write. I like indie music and I like kind of like old school kind of punk stuff. I like anything that you can sort of sing along to really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, so quite a broad kind of selection really, but all with attitude, right?
I kind of consider myself a mutt. Is I like all types myself. I love industrial, love punk rock. I even love the oi, man. The oi that's out there today. There's some good ass oi bands, and I mean, there's
Yeah, yeah.
just so much good stuff out there. Um, just as long as it's non-racist, you know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, exactly.
I'm not
No,
into
it's,
that
it's
hate, but
yeah, it's
yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's funny that it's much more kind of in continental Europe, right? When we've played, um, wherever we played in like Germany or France or Belgium or whatever, the fans are way more kind of holistic in the sort of like the way they appreciate music, and so they'll be like they'll look like a skinhead, but they'll be huge like Bauhaus fans, right? And you can have a whole
Yeah,
day and night of bands of all these different kind of punk subgenres, and everyone will just be there for all of it, not just like I only listen to this, I only like industrial from
yeah.
these period. Like it's way more kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a friend of mine who's a skinhead, and he's just one of the bands, and he has a Susie tattoo and a Depeche Mode tattoo. And stuff. He
Yeah.
goes, I probably have more gothic tattoos than I do skinhead. It's like, oh, funny, dude. That's cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it is always,
Good music
you
is
know, it's
good
like,
music, though. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, and they've always had like that kind of voice stuff. It's always kind of had the attitude and the kind of rawness, which is really kind of like vital in punk. But yeah, there's also that kind of you know, unless you're like a militantly kind of flag in the ground, anti-racist kind of oi band.
Yeah.
There's a danger that you will attract anti-racist. I said not. There's a danger that you would attract kind of. Um, yeah, like less desirable kind of Oi fans, I suppose.
It's
Um,
true.
so, but I mean that was true. So a lot of the period that 1919 originally were kind of around in West Yorkshire, like Leeds and Bradford. There was a big, like the National Front used to try and like recruit kids from like the football matches and stuff like that, and it was quite a big thing, like the
Hmm.
fighting in the streets and stuff. That's why we had Rock Against Racism emerge as kind of you know, let's put on concerts to show like, you know, inclusiveness and stuff, because it was a very kind of like volatile time. Actually, there's a book recently called Popular Music in Leeds. It's like a history, and it's like a collection of, it's like an academic text. So I wrote the first chapter of that, about a pub called the Fenton, right, which is right next to the university, and there was always these kind of stories of like all these great bands kind of forming in this pub. Anyone from like Sisters of Mercy to Gang of Four and Mekons and Delta Five and all that crowd. Because yeah, there you go. Because they were all students at Leeds University, right? And this pub
Yeah.
is like right next to the campus,
Wow.
pretty much next to
That's
the
good.
old kind of, yeah. And back then, like all the students lived like there as well. Now it's kind of sprawled across the city, but that pub's still there, and it's still basically the same as it's always been. So yeah, we were writing about that, and yeah, it's a cool article. I'll give it a plug. I'll send it to you if you want.
That would be awesome. Hey, so does it is it a little was it a little stressful trying to fill in Ian's shoes as a vocalist?
Um,
Was it a
no,
little
do you know
stressful
what? No, do you know what? It was quite easy, and I don't mean that. Like, I mean, I've stood on the shoulders of giants, you know, for the last 10 years, right? And I'm very like, try and be humble, but I'm just very grateful to have had that kind of chance. And Ian's someone I've never actually met, but I would like to, because I've sung his lyrics so many times, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, right? So I kind of feel like I know the guy, even though I don't. Um, but he just didn't want to be involved when Matt was kind of getting things back together. I think for him, like, the past is the past, and he's not really interested. But I'd still like to meet the guy. But no, in terms of why I say it was easy, hey, yeah, I am confident. Like, I'm confident in the way I sing and the way I perform and everything like that. But actually, it was easy because the conditions were right, and I mean that in the sense that I was about the age then that 1919 all were when they first kind of called it a day. So, and we were from like the same sort of area, and politically there was a lot of kind of similarities in the time that we existed in. So it really felt familiar, and it was, yeah, it wasn't like trying to recreate anything. It just seemed like a sort of natural continuation of kind of the project.
His shoes fit is basically what's
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
His shoes
exactly.
fit.
It just,
Yeah. And you just went with
yeah,
it.
it just made sense to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm regularly accused. I mean, I'm only 35 now. I'm still kind of the baby in the band.
Oh, you are a baby. I'm just
Yeah.
you're dyslexic. That's what age I am. I'm 53.
Oh shit. Okay. Looking well. Um,
That's right, baby.
so yeah,
Right,
so I'm
man.
still the baby in the band, but I've over the years, plenty of people have said like, "Oh, you're the original singer then," and I'm like, "How dare you? How old do I look?" but it's a compliment, right? Because
You
they just
bastard.
think that. Well, no,
Yeah.
they just think that I kind of sound like that, and I was
That's
never
cool.
trying to
That's cool.
emulate it. It just happens to be, this is the way you can tell, like, the depth of my voice. Goth rock has always been
Yeah.
quite natural kind of tone for
It
me.
is. It is. Definitely. Definitely. So do you have new tracks that you're working on, new album?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've probably done the best part of the next album. It's just been a bit of a slow process, and there are a few reasons for that. Some of them personal. Sam is a new father, so he has a little baby. So yeah, I know he's great, and Ding's a full-time rock and roller still. So when he's not playing with us, he's out on tour. He does a lot of work with like Chameleons and stuff. He's either teching or
Wow.
filling in space with people, and that's his job, right? His main income is still in rock and roll. The rest of us were kind of we do this and then we have other bits to pay the bills, you know. So I
Yeah.
kind of I'm quite happy like that. But Ding's a legend in his own right, so is what it is. And then yeah, like Mick, Mick's been like looking after his mum as well, who's like 85 or something. He's
Wow.
got like
Bless her,
he's
man. Bless her.
yeah, he's been looking after
That's
her, and he's
awesome.
got kids and grandkids and stuff too. So he has plenty to keep him occupied most of the time. So it's just taking a little bit longer than we'd hoped. But what's cool is we're still playing quite regularly, and we're still getting together, and we're still writing new music, and we're still rehearsing, and it's still really enjoyable. So yeah, it'll happen. I'm kind of leaning more towards the idea of getting another 7-inch out. Because it's been a while. um,
I hear
and
you.
and then bringing the album later on. But yeah, I'm sure you'll hear some new material quite soon.
Yeah, I'd like to try to get all you guys on next time you guys get your album ready. Gonna have you back on to do a little promo if you want. You guys are
That'd be
definitely
great. Yeah,
welcome. Yeah, definitely. You're
yeah. I
welcome.
think the best way, yeah, that'd be awesome. I think the best way to do that, we'll all get together at the studio. So Ding, he's got the
Yeah,
studio in Salford called 6DB, and so yeah, like people can just like go and record with him. If you
that's
can
right.
make it to Manchester, and it does have an airport, so quite a major one. Um, so yeah, he's got a studio down there. So probably if we could all get together there, and we could all actually be there for the interview together. At the moment, it's that wasn't quite possible this week, but
So you guys are doing a lot of tour. Do you guys do a touring or just doing some shows around the area or what? What's
we
coming
just
up?
yeah. At the minute, it's just we just kind of we've been having the odd kind of one here and there. Like the last one we played was in Edinburgh in Scotland,
Ah,
and that was part of a thing called Edinburgh, which was like a new festival,
hmm.
which it looks like it was a success, and they're going to bring it back next year. They've started to announce a couple of bands for that. That was really fun because we had like the March Violets played and Twisted Nerve played, and these were all friends of ours, and
Yeah.
they're
Oh
all great.
wow. You're so
You know,
blessed. You're
yeah,
blessed to know those people. I mean, people I grew up listening to, almost all those names you said. So, I mean, it's awesome. I,
yeah.
I
No, it
love it.
really is. And they're just great people as well. Do you know what I mean? And great bands. So it makes things easier when you can just get somewhere and there's good company and good music, right? Um,
Exactly.
so that was a big hit. I think it was sold out. And they're bringing it back next year. The next one we're doing is a Halloween show in a place down south called Guildford, which is like it's not quite in London, but it's like commuting distance to London, right? Be like if you lived be like doing it in New Jersey, right?
That's awesome.
Um, so
It-
yeah, you can
it's-
just across the river.
So you get a plan on coming to the States again?
It doesn't seem like likely anytime soon, right? There's a lot of I mean, it's like an expensive do. I mean, when
Oh
we played
yeah,
obviously
definitely.
we played at I mentioned it already, but last
In New
year in
York.
Brooklyn, yeah,
Yeah.
at a Murder of Crows festival, and that was great. And the organizers, Sean and everyone else that's involved in that festival, they are really lovely, really professional. They look after you. You got paid straight away. All these things are super important when you're actually, especially
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
booking expensive flights and trying to find accommodation in bloody New York City, which is like even more expensive than London. It's we're really grateful for that, and it was again the lineup was awesome. We had a great time. Did a bit of tourist stuff, which you kind of have to do when you're in New York. And do you know what? I'm a massive fan of Frank Sinatra. So
Oh,
actually,
okay.
I was really grateful to be able to just go and see Hoboken and pose with the statue, and that was cool.
That is awesome.
Uh,
Wow, Frank Sinatra. I wouldn't have
yeah,
pictured that. What got you
what
into
is the
him?
original? I don't really know. So I do have the Sid Vicious My Way cover. So I think I was familiar with that before before I was really into Sinatra, but I don't know. I think because he was a great guy, like he was an amazing kind of character. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, of course.
his his kind of like from a biographical standpoint, his whole kind of career of like, rallying against segregation and things like that, and the Rat Pack refusing to play in casinos that wouldn't allow Sammy Davis in the same door as him. Do you know what I mean? That's all kind of amazing. Um, and the fact that he was just kind of this, well, obviously like a cultural icon, but also kind of he wasn't like classically trained. He was kind of a working class guy, and just kind of like getting out there just on sheer charm and
Mm.
talent. And I think there's so much of that that's like true of like, you kind of a punk rocker like 30 years later. um,
Yeah,
yeah, I think like
the original working class.
yeah, man. I think if
Yeah,
Iggy
that's
Pop
cool.
had been around in the 50s, I think that's what he would have been like, right?
Oh,
And
definitely.
probably would have been
Fucking
friends with the mafia and,
Iggy.
and everything.
I love Iggy Pop,
Yeah.
man. That guy's
So
he's a maniac, man. Still is. He still takes off his
yeah.
shirts, man. It just goes
Oh
at it.
yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. He just
Yeah.
does it, man. Woo!
Yeah. Just exactly the same as he's always
You
been,
gotta
which is
respect
great.
those.
Like,
I respect those old school artists. I do, man. I mean, even John London, dude, from Sex Pistols, man. He's still killing it with Hill, and all that. I mean, that guy
yeah.
is just a funny dude, man. He's, I follow him on
Yeah.
Instagram. He's just always doing
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
goofiness
That's
and just
and
full
that's
of
it. And
life.
it's like full of life and just himself. So whether you kind of whether he rubs you up the wrong way or not,
Oh,
he's very
that's his
much
job.
authentic.
That's
It's
his
his job.
job.
Yeah. That's what he's
Yeah,
done
you
for
can't hate the
50
guy
years.
for doing that. It's what he does best. He's done it from the beginning.
And
He's
the
like
thing is, he's still got, but his voice is still amazing. It's still full of
yeah,
like snarl, and he's doing it for a reason. And that's yeah, it's great. Um,
yeah.
yeah, well,
That's
but then
awesome.
again, I also like I I quite like the Frank Carter Sex Pistols kind of iteration. I think that's cool. I know they're not
Yeah,
particularly happy with each other, or Johnny Rotten's not particularly
yeah.
happy
They,
with all
they
that. But
parted ways, I guess. Yeah, John said
yeah,
he wasn't going to work with the new Sex Pistols anymore. Is what I heard. So
yeah, he didn't fancy it, and they were like, "Well, we want to do it," and still, well, they've got every right to do it. Do you know what I mean? It was the band was about more than just a vocalist, but God, what an iconic vocalist, right? I think him and Pete Murphy are probably my two
oh
biggest kind of influences, I suppose. In terms of the actual delivery and that,
yeah,
the style. But then I've always like Cardiacs and bands like that are just kind of unhinged. I've always loved that too.
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, Peter Murphy's one of my favorites. A Strange Kind of Love. Oh, that song. It cuts you up. Oh boy, that song. I did that one time for karaoke. Oh, I loved it.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. I still get chills every time I hear that song. It's Strange Kind of Love. I still get chills. Just like it's just fresh. It
Yeah,
just was above it's way far above its time, with his writing technique, I thought. It's
I think
timeless.
that's one of the things. Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things that keeps drawing me to Sinatra and stuff is because it's also he delivers like emotion in every word, and you can kind of just
Yeah.
hear he's not just like he's technically a great singer, but it's not just like he's not just singing in a pop like kind of hitting the notes for because that's the composition or anything. It really does kind of there's a really an emotional kind of weight to it.
Delivers a
So
story.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's so fucking cool, right? I don't know. I
Yes,
think
it is. It is. So
it's one. I'm very confident.
do you feel you're
Sorry.
going to do this? Do you feel you're doing the same for 1919?
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, in some sense, because everything we write, it's very personal, right? It's one of the hardest things, for example, about like coronavirus was not not performing. We've spent the longest time without actually doing a gig. Since I first started being in bands at the age of 14,
Yeah.
right? That was like the longest stretch we'd gone without. But also the catharsis of like writing down, you kind of anything that's troubling you or whatever, you write it down. It's in a song, and whether that song goes on to be recorded or not, or it just stays in the practice room, and then you just kind of turn up the volume and you scream and shout and with your friends. There's something so like therapeutic about that. That losing it was like even harder than we sort of expected it to be, because you really do have all of this stuff still kind of
Bottled
I
up.
don't know, within, bottled up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's, I agree with you. Music is therapeutic, not just for the listener, but for the writer. I mean, that's why it's crucial that we keep this music alive. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
it is. I mean, it's your job to keep it alive yourself. I mean, you have a big responsibility of keeping on the tradition of
mm,
1919. Letting those legends never die. I mean, they won't, anyways. I feel
yeah,
they're timeless no matter what. But it's a big responsibility to keep those motions real and keep it fresh, and so do you write the lyrics now?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
And what do you what's like an idea of like something you like to write about, like, and what to get off your chest? Like, tell me about like one of your tracks that you like to, so
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
understand you a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I was always very political. So one thing about kind of studying the early 1919 stuff is that there was so much kind of reaction to the times in there, and that's good because that's kind of how I've always written anyway. And I think it has become a little bit less. Over time, it's become a little bit more direct. But again, that tends to be to do with the sort of societal circumstances we find ourselves in. There's a bit less room, I think, for kind of
Yeah.
metaphor and subtlety. But also, I mean, again, talking about like coronavirus, we did the Citizens of Nowhere album. That was
Yeah.
what we did during that time. So, and it was really important because it was like that was our social time, the only social time we had, and our work time, and we had nothing else to do. So we'd just go across to Manchester, keep working on this album. Oh, let's add some strings, let's add some synths, let's do this. So there's way more layers than anything else we've ever put out. But also the themes of the album, right? There's tracks on there just about like watching TV, like TV love. It's just about
Yeah.
just sitting there watching like box sets. There's
Vengeance.
a couple of Easter eggs in there. I'll let slip because no one's ever brought it up to me. But a lot of the lyrics in there are references to Gilmore Girls and Desperate Housewives,
Oh, how funny. Oh, that
and
is so funny.
no one's ever clocked it, but it's like this fucking hard song, it's angular kind of guitars and shouty. But yeah, I'm literally singing about plots to Desperate Housewives and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
that's so funny.
which were because both of them were always kind of like comfort telly to me. Like if I'd be like ill or
Yeah.
something
I
for a
love
while, and
Gilmore
so
Girls. Gilmore Girls
yeah,
was funny, man.
great.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
And when Sebastian,
Oh,
so yeah, again when I was younger, I went through a big Skid Row phase. So like Sebastian Bach turning up in that as Gil, right, was
yeah,
was loads of fun for me.
that's so funny.
Yes, okay. so that's that, and then yeah, well, just anything from a conversation to a news article to something you see on TV. Just trying to think what other songs were on there. Jackie, Jackie is one of my favorite songs we've ever done. We still do it live, but that song's full of references. I mean, that's something else you'll find is that I reference stuff a lot in my lyrics, and I reference both old 1919 tracks and the kind of other songs and things like that, because I don't want it to. Sometimes you do something and you're like, oh, is this a bit too similar for that? And it's just like putting footnotes in, right? So you can either go, oh, tell you what, I'll mention it. So you mentioned Iggy Pop already, right? So the chorus, it says, baby, I'm bored like Iggy said, right? And then it does like half of a Roots line, because the song's about just kind of listening to records at home.
Okay, I get you.
And then there's like a Roots lyric in there as well. Which
That's
awesome. I just end the chorus on "Can't concentrate, you're in a state," so it's just kind of all self-referential, I suppose, and just open about like this is what I was listening to at the time. But there's a track called "Borders," which was kind of written as a sequel to Alien, Alien from from Machine.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an interesting one because it's kind of about, or at least my reading of the lyrics. You've got Ian's lyrics there saying, being shut in your room with the video on, and you're kind of watching out the window. He never leaves his room. He watches life out the window, right? And so I've thought, well, this is kind of, it's kind of nothing's changed in like 30, 40 years, right? So I wanted to call it Alien 2 or Aliens, but I was vetoed on that. But the content is just, it's kind of revisiting the same character all this time later. So that's why the words are still in your room with the video on and times did change, So it's just kind of was looking at those original lyrics and just kind of taking the same person to now.
Hey. Like the Fonz. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just talking and didn't realize we were kind of constrained for time. Apologize if I'm rambling a bit as well. Yesterday I had a game of rugby in the morning, and then in the evening I was at my father-in-law's 60th birthday, so it was a big day, and I'm a little bit hungover still. So.
That's awesome! Congrats! Happy birthday, Pop!
Happy birthday!
They call. I know, mum over there. What do they call Pop?
Just dad.
A pup?
Yeah, no.
I'm just joking. Pop.
That's mum and dad.
Okay. I noticed when I was doing some research.
Yeah.
That you had something called Black Planet that came out in 2012. That is, I don't know. Is it a book? It said presented with the Cure and all that.
I think there might be a compilation.
The story, probably the story of alternative 80s, various artists, I guess. Yeah, 2012.
That's not me. Which do you want? Oh, okay. So this is.
Yeah, it's in compilations. Yeah, it was a compilation. Have you guys played with the Cure?
No. That'd be great though. What a band!
Oh my lord!
Let me send you awesome. This book that I was in. So my PhD, by the way, was writing about. Go away. Writing. So 1919 has given me so much, and that includes an opportunity to become like a better academic, right? So I ended up getting a scholarship to write my PhD thesis on 80s post-punk around kind of Yorkshire. And so 1919 were like a central part of that. So I was interviewing, my own bandmates to begin with, and then other kind of people I've met through being in this world. I'll send you that.
That's awesome. So you're a college student, huh? College graduate?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
multiple time college graduate.
that's awesome, man. Yeah,
I'm overeducated. That's what I am.
overeducated.
Yeah,
I went for digital media. I
yeah,
graduated. Actually, that's where I'm at right now. Is at my college.
yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
I went to my college and I'm using their Wi-Fi. Why not?
Good. Yeah, that's what it's for.
My wife, my wife graduated here. My son graduated here, and I graduated here. So that's
That's
awesome.
nice. Yeah, I've probably been to every university in in West Yorkshire, pretty much.
Uh,
Um,
uh, what do
yeah.
you? What's your major that you're going for?
No, I'm done now. Like I did originally I did cultural studies. I did a master's in politics and political theory. And then later I did this PhD, in social sciences with kind of post-punk as a focus. And then I've also been kind of studying law over in Bradford. Just I suppose for fun really.
What attracted you to politics so much?
Good question. Um it doesn't
While
nothing really
while you're,
attracts me to
I
it.
usually
It's
don't talk
horrible.
about politics on the show, just to let you know. But
Yeah.
since that's your major, I would like to know your mindset of why you would choose that,
I
or
mean, it
what
always
attracts you.
interested. Yeah, it always interested me. I was always. I mean, a lot of it came through music. A lot of the bands I was listening to when I was younger were like really political, and that kind of just opened up as a thing that I could learn more about or would benefit from learning more about. And Yeah, it's valuable. Anyone that has an opportunity to study this kind of stuff should, because, and certainly everybody should have the opportunity because, yeah, it's a very, yeah, it's a very kind of difficult world we inhabit at the moment. And I think with the rise of kind of, yeah, on one hand, like a
It's
decentralization of knowledge, but on the flip side of that is that kind of, fake news, which is what the old president
yeah,
loves to call it, right? But it's very easy for people to become kind of fooled by random stuff that gets put in front of them. I was
it's
used to say,
true. It's true.
you
It's
always used to
there's a
say like,
lot of darkness today, a lot of
yeah,
sadness. It seems like, you know, it's really
I,
sad. I mean, it is. It's I feel for a lot of people, you know.
probably the best way to describe kind of, yeah, I suppose part of the situation we occupy is that when in like about 10 years ago, so around the time I was starting to work with the other guys from 1919, actually, I had started training to be a teacher. So I was going to go and teach
Hmm.
like college political philosophy. That's what I wanted to do. And but when I went to go and do my interview at the college, um, to train to kind of teach this course, they said, "Yeah, great, but as of next year, there is no more political philosophy in this kind of philosophy thing, right?" So all these questions about, like, strip it back. What is governance? Does any what makes any one person or group of people have the right to govern over another person or people, right? All these very,
Yeah.
very kind of simple but really, really fundamentally important things to all of our existence. um and to have the opportunity for young people to be asking and trying to answer these questions between them is really, really vital. But the government at the time had just decided, no, we don't want them learning about that. So actually, what I was hoping to be able to teach was no longer in existence from that point, and that was 10 years ago. And things have only really got worse. I did end up still training to teach kind of college, like social sciences more broadly, but then went into doing my PhD not long after that. So um, you know, it's yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing. But I think that kind of explains the importance of these things, but also the opposition we
Yes.
find, to things like education and access to knowledge, right?
Yeah. I I wish it was kind of like back in the day when people could vote, even if you vote for the opposite person, they didn't even give a crap. It was no
Mm.
opposition against each other necessarily. It'd be like no big deal. It was just like they just move on, and And they wait till the next election and then do it again. You know, there was no hatred involved with it. Today is nothing but hatred involved with, like, oh, you voted for that guy, oh, you're going to burn in hell. You know, or there's just so much anger about everything.
Yeah.
It's they don't give a crap about our freedom of speech or anything. It's a matter of if they say their own opinion, everybody else doesn't matter.
Well, I think the difference is that, like, for a long time between the end of like the Second World War and probably the 2008 financial crash, to be honest, there was basically like a consensus, in the West that certain things were kind of like there to stay. Things like democratic kind of values and the kind of liberal values of like freedom of religion and freedom of sexual orientation and all these other things, and this was kind of always seen as a given that these things would never be sacrificed. But I think now it's kind of, it's not that politics had less of a high stakes in the past, but certainly it doesn't seem like anything's off the table anymore. So when we have like, even if it's someone, say, use the American system as an example, you could have a Republican and a Democrat, and you go, oh, we can agree to disagree, but but we all love America, right? For example.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, I'm saying this as an outsider, right? But just to use this as an example. But now you kind of have, well, if one side actually wants to, kind of remove fundamental rights that I have, whether that's freedom of speech or the access to books or access to doctors and medical insurance and things like that. These are things that might kill me or kill my family or give us massive hardships, and so it's these things that we can just kind of agree to disagree on become less ignorable, right? Because actually, if this side wins, we are going to suffer, and if that side wins, the other side feel like that they're going to go to hell or something, which I don't believe in, by the way.
I don't think so either. I
Yeah,
don't either. I don't believe that. I mean, there was Democrats, I mean, there was Republicans I wanted to vote for. There was Democrats I wanted to vote for. I don't give a shit what it is, just as long as they do what's best for our country. You know what I mean? It says,
yeah.
that's the only way I look at it.
I mean, probably Schwarzenegger's the best example of that. Someone who was basically really liberal, and he was really good on kind of climate change and on LGBTQ rights and things like that, but was for some reason a Republican. But then you also have this kind of open primary system, which is probably the one thing I think, that and states' rights. They're the kind of two things that are done right in America, I think, from a political point of view. I actually tried to become the. I ran for mayor of West Yorkshire, and I tried. Yeah, but I tried to get the nomination from the Labour Party, right, which is basically our. So I was in the equivalent of our Democratic primary, but we don't have. It's not an open system. So for us, it's like, yeah, I got through the first round, and that was to get the support of two local kind of parties, which I did in Leeds. And then it was round two, and round two was you just you sit in front of a committee, and they just go, yeah, well done getting this far, but we're going to go with these two.
Oh, no.
So it's fucking pointless, because actually, if I got on the ballot, I would have had a really, really good go at it. But it's not a democratic system, so that's something that even though we have like a political system that's set up for two parties, why we have so many new ones kind of popping up, is because the two parties don't have like an open kind of democratic kind of system themselves, right? So it's impossible for someone to just go, well, I think this party needs to take this direction. They'll just have too much opposition for it to work. And we saw that with kind of Jeremy Corbyn. Which kind of did manage to take the reins of the party, but then the party just swallowed him up and was like, actually, we're not happy with you, and kind of telling us what to do. So, and now he's formed his own party, and that'll be quite interesting. But again, like the system that we have here, the government that's in power now has like a majority, the biggest majority ever in Parliament, right? The most amount of seats, but they got something like 35% of the vote in total. a crazy small amount, but it's based on, I don't know. I suppose that it would be the equivalent of like your leader of the Senate House Majority Leader was the president
Yeah.
also, right? So it doesn't actually matter who most people wanted. It's to do with how many people won, how many seats and stuff. Yeah, crazy times. But
Yeah.
again, all
So
this stuff, I think it's important to know about this shit, right?
exactly. So is this good fuel for writing your music? Is that the way you look at it?
A bit of both. It's good fuel for music, but actually, music has always been the thing that's inspired me to get involved in real life politics, for example, whether that is as a student or as a campaigner. Um,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I always like to joke that Guns N' Roses kind of got me kicked out of school, and then a band called, and then the Manics sent me back to college, right? And the Manics, I don't think ever were really big in the States, but we're still like one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're still going at it.
Mm.
Little Axl Rose and all that. Yeah.
Oh
Still.
God, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then
That's
even like
awesome.
the Cure, do you know what I mean? The Cure writing about they wrote Killing an Arab, about the Camus novel, The Outsider or The Stranger, depending on your translation. So there's always been ways in there, like records have often been like reading lists themselves. So if you like it, it's a powerful thing. Like if you like a band and then they're showing you their influences, whether it's through like books or politics or films or other records, right? And you can kind of find all of these things through bands and through music.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. So
That's awesome. Well, that's good. That's awesome, man. Good for you, man. Really happy for your success in this band so far. I mean, I've been a fan since the beginning and always will. And I'm
great.
very grateful for what you guys put out. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what do you like? How do you view the My Era stuff versus the classics? Obviously it's a different. No one's like will always play Cry Wolf and Dream because they're just kind of perfect kind of songs from that era. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You talking about your new one, the Citizens to Nowhere album?
Yeah, Citizens Nowhere, Bloodline, Future Side.
Yeah, it's I honestly I think I didn't really tell much difference. I felt the same passion, the same vibe that I mean it's very consistent is what
Mm,
I felt. I mean it was more in depth, like you said, more instruments put into it, so it's more depth, and but I feel that you did a great job on keeping the tradition alive without, yeah, because some people come in and you could definitely tell when, like Black
mm.
Flag had Keith Morris as a singer first, and then we have Henry Rollins, and then we had Dez, and they went through all these different singers. Now they have a female
Yeah,
singing for them. So I mean, it's just you can tell that the vibe has changed with the band. No matter what, you can do the same riff and all that. You can do the same guitar riffs and do all that kind of stuff, but you can feel it's different. You might as well call it a different band name.
right.
With you kept it alive. You kept the same passion alive. And that's the thing that I appreciate. That's what attracted me. I
Mm.
mean, I don't sense much difference from Dreams to now.
No, well, I think, well, and thank you first of all. That's very nice of you. But like I say, that was never a conscious thing. It was just like once you're in that little practice room in this like knackered old kind of warehouse it was in a place called Dewsbury, which anyone that's familiar with like Dewsbury will be like, okay, that's real, man. It's like raw. It's proper. It's run down. It's messy. It's everything else. But you're like once you're in there and Mick's playing his drums and when Mark was playing his guitar, it was like, yeah, I felt like I was listening to the records from the old days, and it really, I was already there. right?
Almost like doing a live karaoke or something, huh?
Well, yeah, well,
Like,
kind of. But
you
then I
know,
suppose, but then I also like I've never tried to particularly like emulate the old
awesome.
singer. You know, maybe when we do
Yeah, I
to a
get you.
degree when we sing those older songs, you know, I kind of don't want to just go, well, this is what it sounds like now. Stomp my old big boots all over it. Like that's not what I'm here to do.
No,
But
no,
that's it.
no.
It's never really taken much to just kind of. It was always felt like I was just carrying on, and I think you know Mick and Mark were exactly the same as well, because it was just they'd kind of never fallen out, but they hadn't really spoken in those 40 years. Um, you know, since the end of the first era and the start of the second era, they'd been aware of each other, but they'd not properly sit down. So for them, it really was just like, yeah, all this time has passed, but it might as well have been a week, you know. So it was
Damn.
really magical to be a part of that. It honestly was.
So, what's one of if you would say like besides the New York show, a memorable show that you had with these boys?
There's a couple. The first, and do you know what? The best shows are usually when something goes wrong, but then it recovers. Um, so the first time we played in Mexico City, it was pure chaos, but it all just kind of worked. The mic lead snapped in half. You know, 10 seconds into the first song, suddenly the stage was covered in beer and glass and everything else. Did like crowds, but yeah, it was just so passionate and it was hot. But I was wearing this like luchador mask and everything just it was crazy, but it worked, just worked. The first time we played in Paris, that was cool. That was like a little underground kind of club. It was absolutely packed. And during Dream, someone actually spilt beer on the console, right? That
Oh
powered
no.
everything. And suddenly, mid song, blackness, right? No
Oh
instruments,
wow.
no lights, and it was in a basement, so it was pitch black. But then obviously everyone just gets the phones out and there's a bit of a commotion. So I just climb on top of a thing and just like shush everyone, and then just start singing a cappella, and then all the lights come back on,
Oh,
and it was
that's
just
badass.
oh my god, that was so cool. But you can't recreate that stuff like
No.
um you can't synthesize it. It was a thing that happened and will probably never happen again, right? So yeah, but that was pretty amazing, I think.
If you
So
don't
those
mind,
two are,
if you don't mind me sharing one, I was doing a show probably about 25 minutes away from here, and I'm on my last song, and my E string broke on my guitar, top string, and the
yeah.
intro is like 10, not even, it's like 8 seconds before I start kicking in with the guitar. It's like the drums and the bass are going, synth, and then 8 seconds in, the guitar kicks
Yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, oh, my guitar string broke. So I had to rip the guitar string off, and then I went right to it. I did the whole song, and it was flawless, man. It was awesome.
Sweet.
Ended up being. I have it recorded. I'll send you a recording later of
Please do.
that song, and it was pretty badass. It turned out really good. And then it was funny because right off at the end, you see one of my fans come walking in the front and goes, "Fuck yeah!" right in front of the video with his beer in his hand. Fuck yeah! It's like
Nice.
it was awesome. I got $100 for a 45-minute set that night. I mean, that's not bad for a little town. I mean, it was pretty cool, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
blessed. What is your favorite part of playing? Is it, I mean, like live studio? What? And if it's live, what is it?
Yeah. It's a great question because I love all of it for different reasons.
I can
Nothing
understand that.
like you'll know this, but like in life generally, not much feels better than when you're doing a live show and it's going well and you've got an audience that loves it.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn audience was probably one of the best we've ever had. It definitely wasn't like chaos. It was all incredibly well like managed and everything, but I think the fact that we were there and we've had a couple of false starts, we're trying to get to the States, and that was the biggest kind of kind of concentration of people that actually fucking love what we've done. Yeah, it was a really, really great gig. I don't think it could have gone any better. So, but yeah, just I think when you got that connection and people are so involved in what you're doing, and it just feels great, you could kind of do that forever. So yeah, I love performing live, and then there's the kind of family uh, nature of it, that we are all very close as people in the band. It's changed a little bit, with time, just because it used to just be, me at 25 and then these other older guys, right? So it
Yeah.
was like very much a family holiday kind of vibe. So we'd be in the van and stuff. Yeah, just I don't know. It's hard to explain. Definitely not sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Just kind of more like
Like
you kind of away from like a fishing trip. Like, come on, son, I'll teach you how to catch a cod or something. So it just, but I
that's
really enjoyed.
awesome.
It was quite wholesome, really.
Yeah.
And so I used to enjoy all that. But then, obviously it's time to growing older. We've grown up, so we've got families of our own now. But we're still just really tight. And we believe in the music. We know we're good. We know that we couldn't really have done anything else with our lives. And we're just happy to be doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Especially because we've lost friends, we've lost band members along the way. It's just like, we still get to show up and do this thing. So that the whole process of getting together and driving somewhere and unloading and actually doing a gig, just as a thing to still be involved in, that's all really special.
Just because you lost people, that are bandmates, you keep them
Mm.
alive through what you guys are doing now, though. You know,
Oh
they're
yeah,
still alive,
100%.
man. They're still alive. Their memories are dead. You live
And
them
not
every time you get up on that stage.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's not so obviously. Yeah, they've already left this amazing legacy with music that we're always kind of trying our best to continue, right? And
Yeah.
it will never, because you can't delete. You could throw a record in the bin, but you can never kind of delete this kind of thing that's been released to the world. But actually, Mark had two daughters, and Steve has one daughter, and they're all super talented in their own right. So Laurie and Ella, Mark's two, both dancers, and they were in the. We did a video not long after he died. It was his last proper studio kind of recording, a song called "Hymn to the Night,"
Okay.
which was on which was a bonus track on the vinyl of Bloodline. But we did a video for that with both of his two girls in, doing kind of a dance routine, which was really, really cool. But they they're still doing that professionally, and then Martha Madden, Steve's daughter, she's just, I mean, she studied art, and she's gone on to, recently was having her own exhibitions and stuff. So even though it's not specifically in music, they're all just like, yeah, these are like talented people who have given rise to other talented artists in their own right.
Yeah.
So it's really cool just to kind of be still in touch with them all, and yeah,
That's
kind of
awesome.
grateful to have known their parents, right?
So okay, well, let's about that time again. So
Yeah, Christ.
anybody you like to thank and show your appreciation to for your success in 1919.
Just everyone who still gets excited to check out a new track. I think one of the cool things that's happened in the last couple of years is that Anxiety from Future Side has become one of the more streamed tracks online. So it's probably the most, by kind of streams, it's the most popular thing we've done since back in the day. But also we have a lot of kind of analog kind of fans that won't like use Spotify, but they will buy records and they will play those at home. So yeah, just thanks to anyone for helping us kind of carrying on doing what we do, and you know, hope hope to be able to give you something else soon.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Appreciate your time so much, Rio. You've been
No
an
worries.
amazing
Thanks for having
guest.
us.
Huh?
You've been an amazing host. Thank you.
Uh, Whatever, man. I do my best. I try. I mean,
Well,
I have a love for the scene, definitely, and it won't die. I'll take it to my grave, man. I love goth rockers, post punk, punk, industrial. I mean, it's just embedded in my soul. It's part of who I am, and I don't want it to ever die. That's why I created this, so it'll last forever on YouTube.
That's good.
So,
You know what, and it's all run on love, and it like from the bands to the interviewers to the kind of YouTube presenters and podcasters and everything. It's all just everyone's doing it because they believe in a thing, right? It'd be nice if we all got kind of like paid properly for it all, but yeah, it is what it is.
I get it right here, man. The love, I feel the love, and I do. I appreciate it. Thank you again for your time, man. Much love to you, man. Rio. Bless your family, bless your friends, and bless the rest of the band. 1919. More rock, less cock here on the Roosta Show. We had 1919. Thank you, buddy. You take care of yourself. I'll talk to you again soon when you have your new album out.
Thank you, mate. All the best.
Or before it, so we can promote it. Whatever.
Or before.
Just let me know. Don't be shy to ever contact me. I'm always here for you. Yep. Cheers.
Cells and craving dolphins. This drudgery, 5 meals in 40 hours. Anxiety, dare we do call it suffering? It's vanity, but you've heard that one before. Settle down, you said no one likes a pariah. And ours, and don't you be a martyr. Don't you be a martyr. Opportunity, digging holes or working lunches. Wage slavery, nobody owes you nothing. Productivity, self-hosted medication. What do you wanna be? They call this life or something. Settle down, you said no one likes a pariah. Take 48 hours and don't you be a martyr. Don't you be a martyr. Flesh and what's left. 7 pounds of flesh and what's left. 7 pounds of flesh and 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 don't you be a martyr. Don't you be